Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here from Miss Carrie's Creations. This month I'm participating in the Best of 30 Days Sketches series with Christy's Beautiful Life. During the month of June, there will be 30 sketch challenges, and each participant's video will be added to a playlist so that you can view all of the daily sketches. Today, I have a Christmas memories layout that I'm going to be sharing along with the story that explains why I love these photos so much. Here is the day one sketch I'm going to be using, designed by Laura Whitaker. I will admit this one is a bit outside my comfort zone, so it's going to be fun to try something new. These challenges are a great way for me to catch up on some scrapbooking and use up some of those supplies that I've been collecting. I'm going to be recording some memories of my son making Christmas candy in December of 2020. The memories of this now 23-year-old are precious to me, so I want to record them on a scrapbook page. I have gathered some patterns and stickers that I have with both a Christmas and masculine theme. These are going to highlight the photos of my son and show that the page is about a holiday memory. For the background, I've chosen a Christmas tree pattern on blue. This matches my son's shirt and the tree candies that he's creating in the photos. Now you might have noticed that these photos are a little larger than the ones I showed you earlier. I decided to make the photos 3 by 3 instead of 2 by 2 so that I could show more of the story. And instead of 4 photos, I decided to narrow it down to 3. I decided to nix the photo of the completed candy he made because I have that photo on another scrapbook page and I felt like it didn't quite fit with the rest of the photos. In the sketch, there are some strips of paper, some circles, and what looks like a little smudge of ink to the right of the photos. I'm going to stick to that tree theme and mix in some of my Christmas themed paper with some wood grains and a soft blue plaid paper. I really like that blue plaid strip that it shows in the sketch, so I've decided to incorporate that on my layout. In the sketch, it shows some little clocks and circles. In place of the clocks, I'm going to be using vellum paper with this leaf print. Instead of the inked circles, I'm going to be adding stitched circles. Before I do any of that, I do want to add that ink smudge off to the left side. I'm going to use a pencil to mark where everything is going to go. And then I'm going to use some soft gray weathered wood distress oxide ink to create some splatters and some smudges. I don't usually add splatters of ink or smudges to my pages. I do struggle with the unpredictability of mixed media, but like I said, this sketch challenge is going to stretch me a little bit this month. I know that I'm going to discover some new techniques and learn what I want to add to my future layouts. Sometimes taking on a challenge like this is a great way to grow your creativity and learn a few new things. Now here I just realized that I should have prepped my paper a little bit before I added all that ink. It is starting to wrinkle a little bit, but once it dries, I'm just going to use my Cricut Mini Easy Press to get out some of the wrinkles. Now, I do like how soft and subtle this ink is and how it kind of breaks up that background. It's going to look really nice behind those photos, and it's going to pair well with the pattern papers. I'm going to add all of those pattern papers onto my page. Before I do that, I do want to ink the edges of the pattern paper with that weathered wood ink. This is just going to help it blend in more with the smudges in the background and soften some of those white edges. In the sketch, there are some circular clocks, florals, and what looks like inked circles left from a coffee cup. I'm going to be using some printed vellum for the circles and snowflakes where the florals are shown. My son also made some snowflake candy that year, which aren't in the photos, but those little snowflakes are going to serve as a reminder of those candies. Instead of the inked circles, I'm going to be adding some stitching. I'm going to use a circle die and trace the area where I want the stitches. And then I'm going to use a die piercing tool to punch some little holes around the circles for my thread. Now, if you're new to my channel, you're going to discover that I do love adding stitching to my projects. I love the texture that stitching adds. I often hand stitch off camera because I don't have a sewing machine that works, but if you're ever interested in seeing how I hand stitch on a layout, please let me know in the comments below and I'll set up a little video to be able to show that to you. While you're at it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that little bell icon. This will give you a notification when I add another 30-day sketch challenge video to my channel. Since the hand stitching is going to take a little bit of time, I'm going to go grab myself a cup of coffee and add the stitching off camera, and then I'll come back and start adding some embellishments. I've stitched the circles with gray thread over the vellum circles on the page. The sketch shows a little tag off to the left, and I thought this was a perfect place to write the story. Now I do need to make sure that I leave room for that when I go to adhere those strips of paper down onto my background. I just ended up putting a little bit of foam tape behind those photos, and I made sure that I left a little space for that tag. In the sketch, there's a little banner over the tag, and I really like how that looks. This little banner is going to give me an opportunity to bring a little red into the layout to match the Christmas theme. In each cluster, I want to bring in a wood element, a bit of red, and some trees. The wood elements are going to match the title. That little bit of red is going to give it a Christmassy feel, and the trees are going to match with the tree candies in the photos. While I add all of these elements and try to figure out where each one's going to go, I do want to tell you why these photos are so special to me. In 2020, for most of us, Christmas was not like any other. We had shutdowns, and my children that lived away from home were not going to be able to visit. So I knew that some of our holiday traditions that I enjoy would not be happening that year. As usual, in October, I started planning what we could do for the holidays. But all of that came to a halt when I became really sick in November. I ended up being isolated for a month and a half, and it started to take an emotional toll as Christmas drew closer. Now, my sweet son decided to keep some of the traditions alive for me that year, and that included making homemade candy that I usually make every year. He had asked me for the recipes, and he started to make up some small batches of Christmas candy. Even though we all knew that no one was going to be able to come over and enjoy it, the fact that he knew how important this tradition was to me made my Christmas that year. All right, so I've gone ahead and added all the embellishments that I want to add to the page. I did want to keep it simple and not take away from the photos. I'm going to add a few blue acrylic dots to bring some of that color into the clusters, and then we're going to take a look at this finished layout. Now, this page was definitely outside my comfort zone. I had a little difficulty balancing the patterns and the embellishments with the circles, but this was a fun challenge, and it required me to step outside my comfort zone and try a few new things. I kept pretty close to the sketch. The pattern paper strips, circles, title placement, and tag are basically the same. I chose to add stitching instead of the inked circles. I also chose to use 3 larger photos instead of 4 smaller ones, which allowed me to show more of my son. In the end, this page turned out better than I hoped, and I have some great memories associated with the photos. This month's 30 Days Sketches Challenge is going to allow me to catch up on quite a few pages. If you would like to see more videos using this Day 1 sketch, I have put a link to the playlist below. Each day, a new set of videos will be added, so make sure you subscribe to your favorite creators' channels and bookmark that playlist. If you're one who enjoys pinning photos to your inspiration board, I'll be adding photos of this scrapbook page to my blog today so that you can save them for later. Thank you again for joining me for today's process video. I hope that this inspired you to try something new. If you have any questions about the project or the supplies I used, feel free to post those in the comments below. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.